Your own server allows you to deploy pretty much any web application that you could dream of. So for example, you could install your own cloud, like I'm showing in this video. You could have your own note-taking application. You could use a project management tool like I'm using for private and work purposes. Or you could install a web mailer to link to Gmail. Now, in order to access these different applications that are running on your server, you usually browse to the IP address of your server and then access a different port. Obviously, as soon as you have a few applications running on your server, remembering the different port numbers that represent the different apps becomes very tedious. Also, this approach means that you'd have to expose multiple ports to the internet, as you have to forward each port to your home server. A much better way to access different web applications on your server is by using subdomains, together with a reverse proxy, which then points the different subdomains to different ports running on the same server. Another huge advantage of using a reverse proxy is that you only ever have to open up one port to the internet. So in case that you're using unencrypted connections like shown in the example, you only need to expose port 80 and you're still able to access all of your applications. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly that. Now, unfortunately, not everybody is going to be able to run their own servers from home. Maybe your upload speed isn't fast enough for a home server, or maybe you simply don't want to bother with having a PC running 24/7 in your bedroom. In that case, you might want to be interested in renting a virtual private server. Now, a VPS or a virtual private server allows you pretty much to do everything you could do with your own home server, but somebody else is hosting a big server and you're just getting a small chunk from this server reserved for your purposes. Also, if you've never used Linux, using a VPS is a great way to get your feet wet. So if you're interested in getting a VPS, then I can highly recommend these services from today's video sponsor, Hostinger. Besides virtual private servers, they also offer great web and cloud hosting services, and if you're looking for a great deal on a domain name, then definitely check them out using the link in the description. For the purpose of this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to set up a VPS on Hostinger. I would recommend to go with the 2GB and 2 vCPU setup. And don't forget to use code TechGuides upon checkout to get an additional discount on your order. Setting up your VPS is super simple. Simply click on Setup. If you did buy a domain name, then enter it under server name. And if you didn't buy one, then don't worry, you can just simply leave it as it is. Next, select a location which is closest to you geographically and choose a very secure root password. I would very much recommend to use the secure password generator with a password length of 16 including symbols. If you have one, you can use your SSH key to log into your server, but we'll look at how this works in one of my future videos. Select Ubuntu 18.04 and click on Setup. Now once the server is set up, copy the SSH IP address. In MobaXterm, open up a new session and paste the remote host IP address under SSH and specify the root username. Now enter your 16-digit password, and the first thing you probably want to do is to add a new sudo user because you don't want to log in as root to your SSH server. This is a security threat and you should never do this, so add a new sudo user as I show on screen. So assuming that you did buy a domain name, I'm first going to walk you through how to set up subdomains for that bought domain name, and then I'm going to walk you through how to set up subdomains for the free domain names that you get from DynDNS. Now I'm going to show you how it's done on Hostinger, but obviously this will work regardless where you bought your domain. So click on Manage, go to the DNS zone, and first of all make sure that you have a type record that is pointing the @host to the IP address of your home server or of your virtual private server. Now, obviously, if you do host your website from home, you're gonna have to set up DynDNS. I did show how to set up DynDNS using CloudDNS in my last video, so if you haven't seen this, then definitely check it out if you're hosting your own server. Now, under CNAMEs, you're gonna be able to set up subdomains. So just click on Add New, choose a name for the subdomain, so in my case, I'm gonna choose Cloud, and enter your primary domain name under points 2. Finally, once you first set up your subdomain names, I would always recommend to set a low TTL. This is the time to live, so that means how long your computer is going to cache the information of which host points to which domain name. Now in my case, I'm going to add another subdomain, which is going to be the wiki host that also points to my primary domain name. Now you're gonna have to wait until these changes actually register with the domain name server, but if you browse to these domain names, what is most likely gonna happen is that you simply land on the regular Apache landing page. That is because we haven't set up the reverse proxy yet. We're gonna do this in the second part of today's video. But now let's have a look at how to set up subdomains using CloudDNS. Again, you want to have an A-type record pointing your main domain, so this is the free domain that you got from CloudDNS, to your IP address of your VPS or home server. Now click on CNAME, click on Add New Record, and under Host, choose a subdomain name. Once again, I'm going to choose Cloud, and under Points to, enter the full domain name that you got from CloudDNS. Back on your server, you want to go to the etc. Apache 2 sites availables location, and open up the default configuration file using sudo with the vim editor. Now this file basically handles all the incoming traffic and redirects it to the different document directories that you got on your server. So this is essentially how to set up Apache as a reverse proxy. Now to save time, I'm just going to show you the settings that I've got running on my machine at the moment. You can find this exact configuration file as a pastebin in the description below. As you can see, setting up a reverse proxy is super simple. Basically, it comes down to having these kind of virtual host blocks where you point different server names, so those are your subdomains, in the first case cloud.techguides.youtube, to different ports on your own machine. This is done by the proxy pass and proxy pass reverse directives. Now, using a reverse proxy to point to your Nextcloud installation really is only necessary if you've installed Nextcloud using Snappy. In that case, make sure that you actually run the Nextcloud snap on a different HTTP port than your Apache server. Note that the standard port that Apache is listening to is 80 for unencrypted messages and 443 for encrypted ones. On the other hand, if you've installed Nextcloud the regular way, you can simply add these directives to the first virtual host, and you don't really need to bother about setting up a reverse proxy for Nextcloud. Now the second virtual host entry points the subdomain wiki.techguides.youtube to the application running on port 8080. And finally, the last virtual host entry simply points the regular domain name, so in my case techguides.youtube, to the normal document directory. Finally, you need to enable a few mods for Apache in order for this to actually work. Once you've done this, type in sudo service apache2 restart, and you should be able to access all of your applications running on your own server. Now, in case you didn't buy a domain name and you're using CloudDNS, you can simply replace the server name with the respective subdomain names that you set up on CloudDNS. Also, if you're using Nextcloud, don't forget to update your trusted domains in the config.php file. And that is it. With this, you should be able to access all of your different applications running on your own server using the free CloudDNS subdomain names. And that about wraps up today's video. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to set up a wildcard SSL certificate that allows you to have each individual subdomain being encrypted with only one certificate. This is very convenient because you're only going to have to renew this one certificate instead of each certificate for every subdomain. Again, a big thank you to Hostinger for sponsoring today's video. If you're interested in their range of web services, then definitely check them out using the link in the description. But if you still have any questions, then don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section down below. Smash that like button if this video was helpful, smash dislike if it wasn't, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.